amazing. Can you see my presentation there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Right, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to see so many people, and happy World Teachers Day, or happy World Teachers Week we've decided to make it. I think we deserve a full week, don't we? So today in this session, this talk or this workshop, we're focusing on two principles basically for motivating teenagers. So one is not my idea. Flow theory it comes from a psychologist called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. So maybe you've heard a bit about flow theory, and we're going to look at how it can help us in our classes to motivate teenagers. The second principle I want to talk about is what I've called the random factor, and this kind of is my idea, but maybe you've also found activities that are kind of in the spirit of the random factor. But the idea is that we're motivating our students using activities that are quite surreal, that require creativity, imagination, that are kind of absurd even, because it takes away their fear of the wrong answer and it encourages them to participate. So I'm going to be talking more about that and demonstrating that later on in the session. I've tried to minimize the amount of theory for you so that we can also demonstrate activities and that you finish the session with some practical ideas for the classroom. So can you please write your answers in the chat? What, if anything, do you know about flow theory? Maybe you've heard about being in a state of flow before. Nothing, that's why I'm here. Okay, not familiar. Okay, feels good, yes. Yoga, right, okay. Go with the flow, that's a really nice expression, and it is related to this. Okay. Okay. Activity is aligned with needs, yes. Okay, when you're focusing on one thing, that's exactly it. Okay, I love it. Right, thank you for all your answers. It's perfectly fine to say you have no idea as well. Let's go on. Okay, so in the zone, yes, another expression kind of related to this idea. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi came up with this idea of flow being a state that is really important for our sense of well-being and happiness. So you're in flow when you're completely absorbed in an activity for its own sake, right? So it's kind of intrinsically motivating. You're not doing it because it's useful in the future or because it'll help you pass an exam next year. It's in the moment, the activity is motivating and it's absorbing all of your energy and concentration. Okay, so let's just think of some examples for you. Which activities bring about a state of flow? Please put your answers in the chat. So for me, sometimes when I'm writing, I'm completely absorbed, and I lose all sense of time because I really just want to get the text as good as it can be, just for the sake of the activity. Playing bagpipes, that's nice. Reading, teaching, yep, teaching can be a flow activity, can't it? Riding my bike, researching, yep. Gaming, that's interesting. We're going to talk about computer games in a minute. Photography, writing, cooking, there's so many. Okay, so exactly. Sometimes it's like doing a practical thing. It could be playing a musical instrument or something physical. Sometimes it's more mental, but it's something that completely absorbs you in doing it as well as you can at that moment. Okay, right, so I can see we've got the idea. This is what we're looking for, and this is what we want for our students in class. because I don't know about you, but I sometimes look at my students and I can tell that they're not thinking really about the exam next year or will this be useful for my future, especially teenagers. They just want to know how to get through the next hour of your class. So we're looking at how we can make things intrinsically motivating in the moment. So computer game designers use flow theory to make their games addictive, basically. Obviously, a computer game, you're not playing it for any future reward, you're just doing it because in the moment it's fully absorbing and fun. So let's think then, if you think about a really good addictive computer game, what is it that makes it so addictive? So please put your ideas in the chat. What are the ingredients of a really addictive computer game? Instant reward, yeah. Yes, rewards, levels, the score, it's clear goals, yeah. There's loads of good ideas here. Sense of achievement, challenges, joy, yes. Okay, right. Okay, this is what I was hoping you would be thinking about. Perfect. Okay, so if we can get these three ingredients, then we're thinking actually about the three conditions that Csikszentmihalyi identifies for a state of flow. So lots of you have said these things, these kind of ideas. So the three conditions: what is necessary to be fully absorbed? Clear goals and progress. You have to know what it is you have to do and see that you're progressing. Clear and immediate feedback, so you know immediately if you've got it right or wrong, if you could do it better, and it's clear. And finally, the right level of challenge. Okay, so it's not too easy, it's not too difficult, and it's also important students perceived what they perceive as difficult or not. So they have to think it's difficult, not too difficult, not impossible, but they have to think, oof, this is challenging. If they think it's easy, then there's no sense of satisfaction, there's no motivation. Okay, so let's look at an example of how you can apply this then to planning an activity. So this activity is called Just a Minute. It works really well as a warmer to get students talking and help with fluency. And the objective basically is to talk for 1 minute. So can somebody please give me a letter of the alphabet? Oops. Let's go back. Okay, right. A, I'm going to go with A, wonderful, because you have to tell them not X, but people almost always go with A because they panic. Right, so let's have, right, we need a thing in English then that begins with A, please. Answers in the chat. A thing beginning with A, right, apples. Perfect, that is wonderful. Another thing beginning with A. Okay, ants, love it. Okay, let's make that a bit bigger so you can see. Okay, and one more. Ooh, I love it that, okay, some of these are a bit more random. I like this. It goes with the spirit of the random factor. So I'm going to include arrows. Okay, and the nice thing about this is that students automatically give you vocabulary that's their level. Okay, now this is where I need a wonderful volunteer. I think I have, do I have my first volunteer? I've got my lovely colleagues who I've twisted their arms to help out here. Okay, Hi, Sally, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so
Hi,
I'll
Jo.
show you. Poor Sally is sweating here.
I've got sweaty palms.
Not sure what's going to happen to her. Okay, so first in the classroom, I like to demonstrate this. So the objective is to talk for 1 minute about one of these topics. Okay, so imagine I had to talk about, or I chose to talk about air, which was one of the other examples. I'm going to say, okay, air is all around us. We breathe air. It's invisible, and you can't touch air. You can't really feel it, but sometimes you feel it in wind. Okay, help. My mind's gone blank. So my partner, Sally, can you help me? What can you do to help me?
What can I suggest? Things that you can to do
Yeah,
with air?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ask me a question or suggest.
So if you blow up a balloon, what do you fill it with?
Okay, right. Yeah, so, okay. Air is really useful for things like blowing up balloons, and also like hot air balloons for traveling, and many things. Okay, so that's the example. When you demonstrate it to your students, it's good not to do it perfectly. Speak slowly, show your thinking, use low-level language. Okay, so Sally, it's your turn. Can you choose one of these 3 topics, please?
Okay, I'm going to choose apples.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to start timing a minute, and I can help you if you need help. People, you can also write in the chat if you've got suggestions to help Sally. Are you ready, Sally?
Can I ask one question, Jo?
Yes.
Do I just talk generally about apples, or does it have to be sentences with each sentence has the word apples in it?
No, just talking generally about apples.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, off you go.
Okay, so I've chosen apples because this week I watched a very short video which featured my colleague peeling an apple, and she peeled the apple completely with an apple peeler without breaking the peel. Okay. Also, apples have been featuring at home this week because we've bought apples because they're in season. So they're the fruit that's in season in the shops at the moment. My husband really likes apples, and my son does quite like apples. He'll eat apples if I give him an apple to eat. How am I doing for time?
Okay. A little bit longer. What kind of apples do your family like?
They like, I think they're called Pink Lady, the ones that we've got in the shop near here. Do you know those ones?
My favourite.
Okay, so they're very fresh and sharp, but quite sweet at the same time.
That's your minute. You champion, Sally. Okay, you got a second win there at the end, and got onto the topic of describing in specifically the apples that people like. Okay, thank you so much. That's your 1 minute is up, Sally. You can go back to being in the audience.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right then. So it's a good warmer. You can adjust the time. Like even with my really low level students, they still have communicative strategies they can use. They can still communicate ideas. We used to do 30 seconds with my other students. So just reflecting on that, put your ideas in the chat, please. Which of the ingredients for flow does that activity contain? Okay, challenge, yes. Students think it's difficult. They go, oof. Okay, but it is doable. And if in doubt with your students, you can start with 30 seconds and 1 minute for higher levels, right? All levels can take part, yes. So it's the right level of challenge. Okay, right, and so actually it's all 3, isn't it? That's why I asked you this question. The feedback is they know if they're successful or not, because they know if they're still talking at the end of a minute. At the same time I'm listening, I write up good language on the board, and sometimes at the end of the minute I give them little corrections, but I'm focusing on fluency, and to do it successfully, you just have to keep talking, right? It's not an activity that's really focused on accuracy. Okay, so that is one example of, let's see, how you can use, I've lost my train of thought, how you can use flow theory in the classroom. Right, let me just go back because I feel like we've missed something. Yes, okay, so flow theory there. And the final thing I want to tell you about flow theory, or just mention, is that the rubric is your friend. So you've probably seen for assessing students something like this before. And if you make it simple enough, it can really help show students where they are, what the goals are, and how to make progress. So this is an example of a rubric that I use for motivating students to, well, in speaking activities. So I had a class of students who were about 14, most of them 13, 14 years old, but with quite a low level of English, considering how long they'd been studying. So like elementary level, some of them never spoke, well, one of them at least never spoke in class until I got out the magic rubric. So they can see clearly. If you don't say anything in English, or you're speaking, in my case, I'm in Barcelona, so Catalan or Spanish, that's 0 points. But if you say one thing in English, you get a point. And it goes up like that. 1 or 2 phrases, 2 points. As soon as they start actually communicating and interacting, then it's a 3. And then 4 and 5 is more interesting language, more ambitious language. Okay, so the student that hadn't said anything at all, when I walked past his desk that day, he said, yes, I agree. I went, okay, brilliant. That is a 1, maybe a 2, right? So next time, say a little bit more and you'll be getting more points. So I think this is a really good one for clear goals, especially with speaking activities, because sometimes students don't know what it is that's expected of them. So this makes it really clear and breaks it down. Okay, so we do love rubrics. Okay, so that is how you can use flow theory. Let's move on to the random factor. So this came from me wondering why or how students get to, they come to us as teenagers, and they're often reluctant, I find. They don't really want to put their hand up and share their ideas or try to be creative. By that point, they're often, I think, quite worried about feeling silly or getting the answer wrong. So the random factor is my way of trying to show them that there really isn't a right or wrong answer, because it's all so surreal and silly that you can be creative, say whatever you like, and it's all good, it's all correct. So let's look at how this works in practice. Okay, so one example could be an activity that I call mad debates. So you need to divide your class into 2 teams, right? So you've got 2 teams, and in each round, you have just 1 spokesperson for each team. Okay, so they take it in turns to be the spokesperson, but they prepare for the debates in their groups. You give them 5 minutes to prepare, right? So it works like this. You have a lot of random topics written on cards, and each team takes 1 for each round. So, for example, you could have 1 team with hugs and the other team with planes. And the hugs team have to argue that hugs are better than planes. Planes team have to say, no, what are you talking about? Planes are much better than hugs. They're much more important. We use them for international travel. World business requires planes, etc. And the others say, yeah, but hugs are human contact. We've realized with the pandemic that we need this to feel okay. Okay, so you give them 5 minutes in their groups to write down or think of all their arguments in favour of their thing, and to make sure that the spokesperson is prepared with the vocabulary they need, the arguments they need. Okay, so that's how it works. This is a transcript of my students doing this, right? And I'm going to actually, I've got a recording. It's not brilliant sound quality, but let's see if you can hear this.
Okay, kids. El. Okay. Well, the internet is necessary for life in this time because you can find everything in the internet.
Yes, but sometimes you can be addict to internet.
But for the school, for example,
Yes.
you need you need the internet because you can find everything.
Fine.
Yes,
But there are books in the school.
yes, but it's easier and it's more.
Cheaper, maybe?
Yes,
No.
yes.
No, it is. Cheaper, maybe? No, well, maybe. Maybe. But you in the school, you learn to make friends.
Yes, but
To
the
make friends.
Facebook, for example, the Facebook is in the internet,
To make, yes.
and you can.
Okay, so just to give you an idea there of my real life students doing that activity. Okay, oh, that's nice. Someone says that sounds like fun. Yeah, I think they were having fun with that activity. Actually, this, I have to say, I recorded this. This is from a couple of years ago. This is before the pandemic, which actually makes this debate a little bit more logical, doesn't it? We have been having the debate, is it better to learn using the internet or learn in school? But back in those days, these were quite kind of unrelated, random topics. So just a question for you to reflect on this dialogue that you just heard. How might the dialogue be different if the question was just simply discuss, is studying online better than learning at school? So put your answers in the chat, please. Right, yeah, more formal, more boring. Not as much fun. Okay, yeah, so okay, yeah, so the competitive element of the debates shows them that it's kind of motivating. They get, I'm normally scoring, so they get a point every time they come up with an argument. And yes. Okay, I'm just reading your answers. Yeah, okay, so exactly. One thing that I really like about the sample I just played you is that they're competing for the floor. They're actually trying to interrupt each other and get their ideas across. And that very rarely happens, I find, if you just say, talk about something. It's more the opposite. They don't necessarily want to share their ideas. And they're certainly not competing to interrupt each other and get a point across, as people do tend to in real life. Okay, all right, so that was Mad Debates. I'm going to show you a variation on this this activity, and this is perfect if you want to do something for Halloween, which is coming up at the end of the month. And this is my Halloween themed variation on Mad Debates. So we're going to debate who would win in a fight between, for example, a witch and a ghost. Okay, so same thing, you divide the class into 2 teams, they pick cards, all right, so imagine team A has got a witch and team B has got a ghost. Okay, so let's prepare ideas. So in this case, I'm going to let you choose. So please make a decision now if you want to be team witch or team ghost. And please start sharing your ideas in the chat. Why would a witch beat a ghost in a fight? Or why would a ghost beat a witch? Okay, this is another moment where I'm going to need my wonderful volunteers. Thank you so much. Wow, there you go, student A and student B. Hi, hello. Right,
Hiya.
You're not on your own. They're going to help you. I don't know if you've got the chat open, Kirk and Sally, to see what people are suggesting for you.
I can already see that.
Yeah.
We're gonna win.
Okay, which team do you want to be, Kirk? Are you team which?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, right. So Kirk is going to be the spokesperson for all you people saying a witch would beat a ghost. Sally, you're going to be advocating for the ghost.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Right. What I do in class, to help with the immediate feedback thing, motivate students, I actually score points as you're speaking, right? So every argument you make or counter argument, I'm going to give you a point. And it's basically just a free-for-all. So feel free to interrupt each other and try to get your points across.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
making notes.
Okay, yeah, do you want a minute to just to look at people's ideas? People have got some amazing ideas here. Okay, people are also putting in suggestions for, yes, different creatures that could be in a fight. Okay, a zombie never dies. Exactly. Can you kill something that's already dead?
Big
Okay.
questions.
big philosophical questions here. Right, are you ready?
I think so.
Do you feel, yeah, yes, I can tell from your faces that you're raring to go. Okay, I'm going to give you 90 seconds for this to make as many points as you can. Are you ready? Go.
Okay, well, I think that obviously the ghost would win in a fight because ghosts are invisible and witches aren't.
I don't think they're necessarily invisible, and a witch has magic to make a ghost visible, or at least to perceive it in some way.
Ah, but a ghost can be invisible if it wants to be invisible.
I
And
think a witch can see an invisible ghost if they want to with their magic, is what I'm saying.
are you sure? I'm not sure that's correct, to be honest.
I've done it myself. So.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Okay. Oh,
so-
my dog's joining in. Sorry about that. Witches can. Oh, thanks. I've just
And
been buying coffee.
witches can fly just like ghosts. They can
but-
call on other, like someone put in that they can use their cat as a partner somehow to
Cats don't work on ghosts. Definitely not.
why not?
I know that as a fact. It says it in Wikipedia.
Ah, okay. but what can a ghost do? What can a ghost do to a witch? I mean, a ghost can't really act on.
Yeah, a ghost can haunt a witch and frighten it, so the witch will be defeated.
But I think a witch knows enough not to be frightened by a ghost.
Okay, that's your time. You absolute champion. Thank you so much. How did it feel?
It went really fast.
Yeah, it went really fast.
Oh, did it? Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. You don't want to leave students. Actually, this is a good point. For speaking activities, it's always good for confidence to stop students when they're in full flow. We don't want to leave them, that awful, awkward silence where people start running out of things to say. Okay, massive applause for the two volunteers. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so when you do this in class, I find that the other students, you have to tell them they're not allowed to shout out, but actually I find they naturally don't, because it's quite interesting and fun listening to the debate. So the scoring is kind of showing them that any random argument or counter argument, if it works in the context, gets a point. Okay. So it was actually a draw, 5-5 so you did really well. Excellent. Okay. So I think yes, we have, brilliant. We've got time for a second activity that I feel, you feel like the ghost one. Yes, people are still very strongly in their teams. Team Ghost will be Team Ghost forever. Okay, right, second activity that I feel channels the spirit of the random factor. I did this to review vocabulary with my very high level students, their proficiency level. And I needed to find something to revise some quite low frequency vocabulary. So the book is dense with new language, and I'm constantly trying to think of ways to make it fun and to revise it. So this is how it works then. This is 4 in a row vocabulary review. Right, so I divided students into 2 teams again, and we had team, what's this animal, do you know? What's this first animal? It's a raccoon. Right, okay, we've got raccoons. I love raccoons, they're really cool. Did you know they wash their food before they eat it? They're very cute. I recommend videos of raccoons eating grapes if you need cheering up. Okay, right, so we've got Team Raccoon and Team Meerkat. Okay, so I did this online, but it would work in an online class or also in the classroom. So 2 teams, and this is how it works. So these are all the phrases from the previous lesson that I wanted students to revise and to be able to use. So you can see they're quite random high-level expressions to be a load off your mind, for example, to keep your wits about you. So first, during the preparation time, give them 5 minutes with their team to make as many sentences as possible using these expressions. But the catch is, if you're in Team Raccoon, then you have to use the word raccoons as well as the phrase. If you're in Team Meerkat, you have to use the word meerkat or meerkats. Okay, so give them preparation time. Here's an example from a real life example from a student in my class who came up with this sentence: meerkats were the brains behind the Second World War. So I quite enjoyed that. In fact, they came up with some brilliant expressions that I thought were hilarious and really channeled the spirit of the random factor. Okay, so let's just do some brainstorming. Choose a team for yourself and see how many sentences you can make using one of these expressions and the word raccoon or meerkat. Okay, let's see what sentences we can come up with. Oh, this is brilliant. Meerkats have trouble keeping a straight face. Yes. Raccoons may be the first casualties of global warming. Oh, that's terrible if it's true. Meerkats have minds of their own. Yes. Oh, this is amazing. Right, okay, I'm loving these. Face to face with humans. Yes. The first casualties of, yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, they're coming thick and fast here. Right, off the top of your head, yes, okay. And when you're the teacher, you can also see from their examples if their example shows they understand the phrase. So sometimes I was correcting their expressions. So even though it's really surreal, I still reject phrases that don't really make sense within this kind of funny, silly logic of meerkat and raccoon world. Okay, right, I'm loving your ideas. So that's the preparation. And then when we actually come to play the game, we won't do it because I think because we're running out of time, it might be quite tricky to do it with so many of you here, but it looks like this in class. So I go, right, raccoons, it's your turn first. What square do you want? And raccoons say, we're going to go for, what can I see here? I've seen lots of examples with raccoons might be the first casualties of global warming or droughts. Okay, so they say that and I go, brilliant. And then, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to come out of it. Let me go back. I want to show you, because this is the best bit, actually. This is the bit I really enjoyed as a teacher. Then you can drag the little raccoon picture to the square. Okay, so they win when they get 4 in a row. They can go horizontally, vertically, diagonally, and the objective is to get 4 in a row. So each team takes it in turns to choose a square, make a sentence, and if they get the sentence right and it makes sense with this surreal logic, then they can occupy that square. Okay, hope that makes sense. Like bingo, yep. Yes. Which program are you? It's just, I did this at first in PowerPoint. And then, yeah, you're just kind of editing it. You come out of presentation mode. It's good if you've got all those, the photos there. And you can do that with anything. It works with any vocabulary, any level. They have to put it into a sentence with the word raccoons or meerkats. Okay, all right then. So I think we've got some time for questions that Paul has been preparing. It's really nice. Thank you for your comments.
Thanks, Joe. That was great. Really, really engaging. As lots of people kind of taking part in that in the chat, and also on Facebook, I think, as well. So we've got there are a few questions coming in. I suppose I wanted to well, first of all, say thank you again, but also just to sort of think, to me, a lot of the activities that you demonstrated look like they would work equally well if you were kind of teaching online or you were teaching face to face. Would you agree with that? Is that the idea, I think?
Yep, I've done all of these, both online and face to face. So yeah, they do work. They might need a bit of adaptation, but you can get them to work. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. There are some questions coming in. If you've got questions for Joe, then obviously please do put them into the Q&A, and we'll try and get to as many of them as possible. I've got a couple of questions actually still that I just wanted to ask. I guess the context you're working in is with sort of monolingual groups, so they're all sort of Spanish or Catalan speakers. Is it okay? A couple of questions. How do you stop that? How do you find that these games or the activities that you're doing help to sort of get them to speak English when they might sort of revert to their own language? And I suppose the second question is, does that matter so much as long as they're producing the language for the activity?
Right, yeah, good question. In the debates, for example, when I give them preparation time in a monolingual class, I think it is quite natural for them to kind of start doing their thinking in Spanish or Catalan in their own language. They have the ideas, but then that's fine. That's not a problem for me. Then they kind of think about how would you say that in English then? So that's kind of the point of the preparation time, and I have no problem with them thinking and going like, oh, how do you say that? If it wasn't a monolingual class, they would need that time to work out together how to say things, and that would be more, they'd be involved then, wouldn't they, in trying to communicate their ideas to each other naturally in English.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see how, I think obviously because, something like this where they're going to have enthusiasm, it's slightly different, or it's different from the okay, open your books, or the sort of going through that, so that there's that sort of enjoyment of doing the activity, and I suppose the excitement, if you like, can, I don't know, often kind of help them to go either way, actually speak more English or speak less English. But I mean, I suppose the actual activity, yeah, they're doing that. Okay. Okay, some questions here from Karen. Have you got a blog with more ideas and information on flow theory? do you publish anything anyway? No. Okay.
That was an easy question. No, sorry, I don't have a blog. Those are all of my ideas. I'll let you know when I've got some more.
Okay. With this question from Liesel, with the MAD debate, do you do any kind of brainstorming activity first with them to sort of help set it up? I guess maybe it depends on the level of the students, no? Or
so we do. Well, they kind of brainstorm ideas in their two groups. I don't know if that came across. So yeah, because I suppose one thing that can be maybe it's a bit intimidating for students to be put on the spot as the spokesperson for the group. So that's why you need that, and that also introduces the team element. So that's where you give them 5 minutes. Okay, prepare your spokesperson. And the spokesperson's going, help me, what am I going to say? So there is that motivation there to really focus.
Okay, so I'm just looking through your questions. Okay, yeah, a couple about error correction, focusing on errors. I mean, you said it's a fluency activity, and I think you mentioned the focus on errors. Can you just sort of go over that again? So
yeah.
Something like this,
yeah, okay, that's a good question. So the 1 minute speaking, yeah, I'm trying to be really positive with them and emphasize fluency. However, it is a good opportunity to listen in and give as much feedback as possible. So writing up good examples of language, vocabulary. So I did this exact activity in my class yesterday. And because people always say, or often say A as the letter, and then they often say apples as the topic. We were also talking about apples. So someone was saying, I like apples, and she wanted to say, she didn't know the word for crunchy. So I was listening and I wrote crunchy up on the board. So you can input language there. And the other thing that always happens, particularly with my students, because of like Romance languages, I don't know if this happens with other languages, but there's one grammar point that often comes up in that activity, because you're talking about apples in general, and often they want to say the apples, or like they're talking about what was our other one? Ants or aeroplanes. Aeroplanes, the ants are insects. So be ready to remind them about that grammar rule, that there's no definite article when you're talking in general.
Okay, so it's kind of, all right, so it's kind of feeding in whilst they're sort of brainstorming and thinking about their ideas, and then also kind of obviously following up on that with sort of pulling out some examples of common problems, I guess, now, so you can focus on that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, while they're talking, just for the minute, I'm frantically trying to listen and write, and then I just draw their attention to those things, and then it's like, okay, next minute, back to you.
Okay. Sort of related, I suppose, is a question from Sebastian. I'll sort of rephrase it a little bit. Obviously, the students who don't have any interest in learning English, have you sort of found that, obviously, when we were doing these activities, there's a lot of energy there, and you kind of get the impression that every student is going to be really into doing this. But have you found sort of instances where you've sort of done these activities, and there's been students who, even despite the motivation for these activities, they're not there, they're not into it, they're just kind of a little bit half-hearted with things, or does everyone get into it?
These activities are designed for those students that are not that into English, and they're designed to be fun and give them a chance to kind of personalize and use their creativity in a way that's motivating for them, aside from the kind of the normal motivation of English, your English exam, etc. I can't, to be honest, I can't think of they work. I'd like to know. So you can all try these out, and please come back and let me know whether they work or not. And if they don't, I also want to know, and we can think about why. Because I would, for me, these have been a surefire winner.
Okay.
So honestly, they work. Try it out and see, and let me know how it goes.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see, you know, different kind of cultures, different contexts, how well these activities work. I can see them working really well in the context that you're working in. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe in some ways, I suppose it depends on the kind of teaching that you're doing. If you're working in mainstream schools where you've got a sort of fairly rigid curriculum and you have to kind of stick to that, then doing something like this might either be seen as a fantastic little break from that, or it might be seen as sort of an unnecessary distraction. I suppose from a teacher point of view as well, they might sort of think, well, okay, I'd like to do this, but I haven't got time because we've got all of this stuff to get through in our curriculum. Have you got any advice for people that sort of teacher who might sort of say, nice idea, but I'm not going to do it because too busy with other stuff?
I hear you, and I understand that the pressure of the overloaded curriculum and feeling like we have to get through all of this stuff. I think it's worth it. Like the 1 minute speaking, it's literally 1 minute, but it really pays dividends if you do something like that at the beginning of the class as a warmer. I think you'll find that students are much more engaged and they participate much more in the whole rest of the class. So I'd say it's still worth dedicating time to. And the mad debates thing or principle, you can adapt that to lots of different topics. The principle of preparing one spokesperson for a debate and then doing it, you can apply to so much stuff. We had there's another one that I did that was the topic was like animals and like animal cruelty, keeping animals in zoos and things, and we had a debate about they had to be 2 lions in a zoo, and one lion was quite happy in the zoo and wanted to stay in the zoo because life was sweet and easy, and the other lion wanted to escape and go back to the wild. But they loved each other, so they had to stay together. So you tell them the story and then they prepare their arguments. It's always good to give them a role, I think, rather than always asking them to bring their own ideas. Just tell them, right, you want to stay in the zoo, you want to escape. So I think that's an example of how you can, even based on the syllabus, they ended up revising all the vocabulary that we had to do from the book, like in the wild, hunt, whatever, get fed. So,
so it's a case of kind of, yeah.
I think they're adaptable to fit with what your objectives are in the course.
Okay. So yeah, kind of a case of integrating some of the language into the tasks themselves, so it brings it to life. I guess as well, I mean, I think, you know, something like this, where the students are perhaps used to coming into class, opening their books, going through exercises, sort of, you know, revising language or grammar or whatever in order to pass the exam. Something like this is sort of energizing, and it kind of gives that different focus that might just sort of help them to concentrate a little bit more when it does come to just opening the book. And I guess as well, if it's, I mean, it's presumably, I would say, is it these kinds of activities you would do every single lesson, or more or less every lesson, so they're used to it and they kind of expect it, and they're like, okay, this is the sort of the fun bit of the class.
Yeah. I tried to integrate these kind of principles and activities as much as possible. Okay,
great. Just looking through questions. I suppose, large classes, I mean, you were saying divide the class into 2 teams, but with large classes, if you've got sort of say 25, 30, 35 whatever in the class, you would put them into smaller groups and to make them compete against each other. No?
Exactly, yeah. Or a variation on that is they prepare in groups, and then you just put one-on-one.
Okay.
So all A's have a partner from group B, and then everybody does it at the same time, rather than if you want everyone to participate more and you don't want them to be listening, then that's a different way to do that.
Okay. Okay, this is an interesting one from Madam. With students that are overly competitive or highly competitive, where they might get into a bit of a conflict. Okay, so have you had that ever? And what would you kind of let them handle that themselves? Do you kind of step in? And I mean, obviously there's a certain amount of discipline you need to kind of instill, but have you sort of found students that are just so competitive that it just got out of hand and you've had to stop?
With the debates and the point scoring, I think fairness is so important to students, isn't it? And you do have to be, because sometimes I think as teachers we're like, oh, it doesn't matter, they all participated, it doesn't really matter who won, but it really does matter who won, and it really matters what you give points for and what you don't. So if you have to be quite really listening attentively in the debate, like, is that a repeated point, then it doesn't get, it doesn't get a point.
Okay. Yeah, all right, I like that. Yeah, no, it's nice. I like the rubric. There's a question about from Facebook, actually, from Gopal, around the rubric that you showed earlier on, and there's 5, I think there are 5 levels. Is that's something that you devised yourself? No, I mean, you decided on 5 levels there.
Yeah, it's out of 5 because that's how we had to score at the time.
Okay.
You could adapt it to be out of 10. It's actually, that's based on an idea from an ex-colleague of mine from the British Council, Chris Rowland, which I then adapted. Okay. But it works super well, and you can use that for all sorts of activities. Just put the rubric on the board. If a rubric is too complicated for students to understand or to apply it to their speaking in that moment, for me, it's not that useful.